Waking up early on weekends for me, and I have no doubt for many of my peers, may feel like an unfeasible task, like resisting the call of the internet when schoolwork needs done. Despite this, I found it necessary to pull myself out of bed and be productive. But being productive sometimes means focusing on one thing at any given time, when my mind is far from focused. Countries divided by greed for power and greed for change, some altruistic because they have done to prevent nuclear disaster, and the world turning off its electricity to make a statement of self-improvement. These thoughts ran through my mind as I tried to organize my time off. Schoolwork needs done, and boxes I neglected to unpack need organized. And yet, all these things I decided to neglect, and all for such an odd reason. I want to make a name for myself. And don't get me wrong, living in such a rural area, with beautiful scenery and a mother nature that sometimes acts bipolar, is something I wouldn't give up for the world. And yet, I find that we all have an addiction for popularity, to be remembered. We want the world to know our names, sometimes for better or for worse. Just across the road of my new backyard is a cemetery. My friends now joke that my house is haunted. Despite this instant stereotype that graveyards are birthplaces to many haunting curses, I've come to realize that these places, deemed to honor fallen lives, spawn more than just unsettling superstition. They spawn stories. Stories worth reading. Adventures of immigration and war. The tragic tale of losing a child. And tombstones, dating the son's birth before the mother's, and 4 years after the father's, leading me to believe that it's either a misprint or I'm mentally insane. Blanked out lettering, leading the mind to come up with its own story for this person, who surely hasn't lived more than 160 years. And the more recent stories, probably the one I'll remember most, being that of the grandmother, who came just short of outliving the century she was bound to. All of these stones have names, and with all of them stories, and we never seem to take the time to appreciate this. We're all too caught up in making a name for ourselves. The unfortunate truth of this is the names we are given are as eternal as we are. Sometimes even the stone our name is bound to is forgotten. But it's not the name we hold that we should be worried about. When we get older, we'll make a legacy. Generations from now might look back on what we've learned, and how we made a name for ourselves, and be inspired like I was. And more importantly, I've learned that we don't have to leave our little towns to do this. Sometimes we lose sight of the small communities that nurtured our growth, that deserve our work, just for this selfish inclination to make it big. Sometimes we don't realize the little things we do every day will be remembered far more than the accomplishments we make in our lives. We don't know what's in store for these places, or for ourselves, because our stories are not yet written in stone.